Today on Independent Wrestling Profiles, we're talking with Violet Overkill. What is your earliest memory of discovering professional wrestling? What is it about it that maybe captivated you initially, and what was it that kept you tuning in?
Well, I think I'm like newer to wrestling. Within like the last 5 or 6 years was when I kind of got into it, and it was kind of an interesting way that I found myself in it because I didn't grow up watching it, and I had seen things on the internet, but so I had prior knowledge, but my brother and my dad had gone to a house show, a WWE house show here in Kitchener, my hometown, and I wasn't invited. It was like a guy's trip, and I was kind of mad, but I was like, it's fine as long as you don't see Rhea Ripley. And sure enough, she was there, and I was like distraught, and they got me a shirt, and I really got into it after that. I was tuning in every week, every Monday, Friday. I loved it. I loved the physical aspect, and I loved how entertaining it was. And I once you have that like kind of pull in, you're stuck. You can't get away from it. It's so like addicting to be watching wrestling for sure.
Would you say that your first experience being a live event and having the additional elements of the atmosphere, the energy in the building, the more intimate feeling than what you get when you're on watching it on a TV helped cater that along? Do you think maybe you would have had the same reaction if you had just kind of tuned in on a random Monday night?
Yeah, I think so. I think like later on, I definitely went to a lot more shows like live. And that's especially where I decided that, like, hey, this is something that I can do. And this is something that I really do want to do. I think it's the atmosphere. Yeah, it brings you in. You find a community here, and it's amazing. It's so much better than sitting on your couch watching wrestling when you can see it and be there and you know that it's real. And yeah, it's just great.
So during that time, that kind of early period of time when you were kind of developing that baseline fandom, did you get to go to indie shows or was it just like the WWE house show? Because I find personally indie shows give you an even more intimate feel where you get to meet the performers and you get to be a part of it. Like the crowd is so much more involved. Did you get a chance to experience that or did you not get to see that until you had actually started getting into the training?
Yeah, no, I hadn't gone to any indie shows prior to joining my studio. I was like completely oblivious to this giant world of all this amazingness. And especially when I had first started training and I was going to shows, I was like, this is awesome. This is like, it's so different, but in a way that is, yeah, so like it's more intimate. You get to see these people. These people are real life people and they do these amazing things. And it is quite amazing.
Okay, so only 4 or 5 years ago, roughly, that's a very quick turnaround to today where you're already performing. Can you take me through kind of where the decision was to, I mean, you might have had it in your mind a little bit earlier, hey, I kind of want to do this, but like the actual decision to look for a school and start the training and actually take it that extra step of pursuing it rather than just thinking about it.
Yeah, for sure. So in high school, I was super involved in like not sports. I didn't actually do any sports prior to this, which is also insane. But I was very involved in theatrical aspects. I was really, really big into music at the time, and I was doing shows all the time. And being in the spotlight and kind of having that, like, people wanted to be there, they wanted to see me. That was always like my biggest thing. I loved being an entertainer. I think it's ingrained in me in every aspect of my life. And yeah, I was at a show actually, and I have a friend who is a social media person, and he's quite big in the WWE world. And he was like, if you actually do want to do this, I know a place. And I kind of did my research a little bit of everywhere, and I go to Off the Rope Studio, and they're amazing, and they're so close to where I live. So it was just like the stars aligned.
So tell me a little bit about starting the wrestling because not to say it's a negative, but you're a fresh fan, so to speak. So you don't have like this big plethora of knowledge. You, as you said, were not necessarily like a very athletic or, person that was involved in sports too much. What was like the intimidation factor going into this, like you're going to be bumping, you're going to be learning almost from the ground up. Like, was it a little overwhelming? Tell me a little bit about that first experience.
It was definitely overwhelming, especially as someone who I get so overwhelmed all the time about the littlest things. But yeah, especially with wrestling, I just walking in and seeing all of these amazing girls that had already been wrestling for a little while, it was super daunting. And you know, you there's a mental thing where there's a block between like you are here and you're going to hurt yourself kind of thing. Like it's not other people hurting you, you're hurting yourself. And I think it definitely wasn't too bad. I'm like kind of a jack of all trades. Like we talked about how like I was a band major and I also did visual arts, and everything I believe if I set my mind to it, then I can do it. And I had obviously kind of did my research before this, so I had prepared to some extent of like how my first training day was going to go.
So tell me a little bit about the motivation. Like, if I get hurt, I'm gonna naturally pull away from it, right? You're going to go running headfirst into us. You're taking bumps, you're getting hurt, and yet you just want more of it. You're getting, is it the adrenaline? Is it the camaraderie of your peers? Like, what is it that gives you that extra little bit of motivation to push through the challenges?
I think it's looking cool. I think at the end of the day, if you look cool doing it and you don't hurt too bad after, then you've done it. You've made it. Nothing else can hurt you now.
Was it the a long period of time that you were wrestling before you had your match? Because you weren't a fan for very long, so to speak, relatively speaking, before you started training. Was it similar with training where you were like thrown into the ring almost immediately?
No, I started around July of 2025, and then May of 2026 was my first match. So I think that's like 9 months ish. And I think it was a good amount of time. I was definitely prepared, and Sabrina Kyle had and Jeff Black had done everything that they could to prepare me for my moment, and I think it went much better than I expected, for sure.
So let's talk about that night. I was in the audience, a sea of people, almost
Yeah.
700. And I talked to both of the Falcon brothers as well. Having your first match at a venue to our area, the Kitchener Auditorium, that is, very, very well regarded, but also in front of such a large crowd. Were there nerves? Like, how does it feel breaking the curtain for the first time and just seeing people?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, so many people were there, and that's kind of how we planned it. It was just so exciting to have that be my first match for sure. And so many other students at the like off the ropes where that was their first match, and it was a really really big deal. Like looking out at the curtain, I was terrified. I was so scared. But everyone there is there to support you. All of these people, especially the Falcon Bros, Sydney, Jake, everybody, they are so amazing and so supportive. But yeah, like going out there the first time, so like seeing the sea of people, it's terrifying. But kind of in that moment, as soon as you pass the curtain, you're a different person. You're just going like there's just like tunnel vision I get. But yeah, you kind of don't even notice it because you're just so like excited.
So you'd mentioned it was almost like being a different person, and I kind of want to touch on the expressive part of wrestling. You had said you were into visual arts. How much do you enjoy things like picking your outfit, picking your music? I know you designed your t-shirt, I believe. Even just
Yep.
putting together a particular move set, like you are almost creating a new embodiment of yourself. Is that something that like really, really appeals to you, having that artistic, expressive background?
Absolutely. It is like probably my favorite part. I struggled in the beginning trying to pick something that I was really gonna enjoy. And yeah, like designing my gear and everything was, it's the most fun. It's the most fun part about this. And just you really get to express yourself in a way that you don't get to day. Um, yeah, and like the move sets as well. Like I love to like do flippy stuff and stuff that looks cool because I want to like impress everyone, you know?
Speaking of impressing people, can you watch the video I sent you?
Hi, Violet. What was your favorite wrestling match you had?
Oh,
Hi, Violet.
oh my goodness. Oh, my favorite wrestling fan. Don't tell anyone. She's my favorite.
So, for anybody who doesn't know, I just showed a video of my daughter asking you a question. When she found out that I was talking to you, she absolutely wanted to ask you a question. So, first of all, how does it feel to have this fan that absolutely loves you, not to make it about me? But if you could answer her question, that would be great too.
Of course. Which one do you want first?
Whatever you want, it's fine.
All right, well, I will say that she is my favorite fan. I get so excited to see her like all the time or get to talk to you about her. She is literally the sweetest. She was like my first fan. I feel like I've really grown since then and I think she's helped me get there for sure. And to answer her question, I think my favorite match I'd honestly have to say is either a match I had tagging with Robbie Vegas in Erie, Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
or the match I just had at the Off the Ropes Queens of the Ring. Both were so incredible. With the tag team, it's so nice to just kind of have a friend, like a buddy in the ring, and Robbie's great. Working on tag moves and working on how the match is going to go with him is probably one of the nicest things I get to do. And for the match that I just had at the Red Papaya, I enjoyed meeting new girls. This was like this women's show meant so much to I think a lot of people. And meeting all these girls and getting to work with Ray Larson was really awesome.
You mentioned going to Erie, Pennsylvania. Like, how does it feel at this point already to be getting to travel to, not that it's that far, but another country to wrestle? Like, it sounds, like much greater than it is, but at the same time, it is pretty impressive. Like, did you think that this early into your career you would already be traveling to do shows?
I don't think I did. I wasn't expecting this, but it's quite literally my favorite thing to do. I get so excited to go and travel to Pennsylvania or Buffalo, and everybody out there is so incredibly nice and so welcoming, and it's just really nice to see new faces and, you know, like get a wider spread of people that I know in the industry for sure.
So where would you want to travel next? I mean, like there's probably a very long list, but are there a few destinations or maybe even we'll say promotions that you have kind of on your bucket list right now?
Yeah, I think I would like to move more towards like the southern states as well because I'm just kind of like just passing the border. Um but I don't know, I really like where I'm at and I think more people will see me and hopefully that brings me other places as well. But no place in particular. I'd like to wrestle a little bit everywhere. I'm not picky.
So I want to ask you, like, you have gotten the opportunity to share the locker room with a very wide range of people. Like Sydney spoke very fondly of, having a match with you, and I know you guys came up together. But also, like that first show, you had a WWE legend in the locker room, Savio Vega. You had veterans, like the Mark Wheelers, the Jay Lethals. I know recently you had a match against Alexia Nicole. When it comes to Ontario performing, like that's a very well respected veteran. What's it like to share a locker room with these people, and how much do you just enjoy sitting back and absorbing everything you can from them?
Yeah, I think it's it's kind of unreal sometimes to have these greats around me. It feels like I'm like, oh my God, there's famous people here. But um yeah, just to like just I try and soak in as much information as I possibly can. Like we have seminars all the time, and those are great too because then you kind of get like one-on-one, like very personal. You get their knowledge, and you just all you have is just like so much that you need to kind of process. But yeah, it's incredible being like surrounded by such great people for sure.
So in that vein, I do want to kind of ask, what are some of the most immediate highlights that come to you in an early career? I normally do focus that on matches, but we've already kind of touched on some of those. Are there experiences, whether they be chance encounters, relationships you've developed, road trips that were just super memorable? Like if you think back on your career right now, what are some of the highlights that really stand out?
I'd say for sure one of the top experiences I've ever had was at my first match after the show. I had Jay Lethal come up to me because I had used his move, one of his finishers is mine as well. And he kind of talked me through how to make it better and had some ring work with me, and it was really incredible and like super cool. Like if I could go back and relive that moment, I would for sure. Um and yeah, another thing, like just the relationships, like I'm sure we all know, especially Sydney, that's my best friend. Sydney is my best friend in the entire world. And I think we know each other in a way that's so, like, we're just so similar that we kind of grew into wrestling at the same time and kind of faced everything all at once together. And, she's always got my back and I've always got hers. I would do anything for that girl. And, wrestling, it really does bring people together. And I've made some lifelong friends, and these people are my family too, right? So meeting all of these people is my
I want to explore something you had mentioned there. You said you use a move that Jay Lethal uses, and he came up to you after the match. But going into the match, were you aware of just kind of the dynamic that you were going to be in a match doing a move that he was in the building for? Were you nervous about that? Did you approach him about that? Like, did that occur to you, or was it just like not even a thought? That's just a move you do and you didn't even put any thought into it.
No, it was he was very aware. So because he was there and I was gonna do it, I had this all like my whole I was so ready to do it, and I had someone had gone up to him and had asked him if it was okay that I was gonna use his move, and he was like, "Yeah, it's all right. I'm not gonna use it, and I'll watch her do it." So he watched my match and me do the lethal injection, and yeah, it was terrifying. I was like sweating bullets. I was like, I can't mess this up. He's watching. So yeah, it was definitely a scary.
I can't imagine you're going to have too many more pressure situations. Your first match in front of 700 people, and then being told, hey, Jay Lethal's going to be watching you do his move during that match. If that doesn't break you, I
Yeah,
think I think you're good from here on out.
yeah. Really started up at the top, and we were good after that.
So let me ask you, if I was to just be able to book you in any match, what are some of the opponents you would love to square up with still? And then at the very end, could you give me your dream opponent, regardless of how realistic it is?
Okay, yeah, yeah. I'd really like to. I think I'd really like a match with Jay Constant because I think I could beat him up. think I would beat him up. And you know what? I just want to. I'd wrestle anyone. Come on. But I really get excited to wrestle Sydney. I think we work so well together and like knowing each other so well, it always works out. It's always like my favorite matches, my most fun matches, and I definitely have more of those. I'd also really like to wrestle Big Mama. I was supposed to wrestle Big Mama and she had an issue getting here. So I think eventually I would really like to wrestle her. I think that would be really great. And as for my dream match, I think Rhea Ripley. It would have to be her. I think she's just amazing. So
I think we might have found the one that would be a little bit more intimidating than that first match experience if you were to actually be heading into the
yeah,
ring against Rhea Ripley. Yeah.
yeah, it's terrifying. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, but it would still be a great. I mean, nobody's turning that down.
No.
I do want to explore a little bit more the artistic side because I was very impressed by your t-shirt. And then when I was told that you had actually done it, not to say I didn't think you were capable, but it was phenomenal. Like, how involved are you in just art still these days?
Well, in high school, I majored in visual art. For 4 years, I did like the heightened art courses, and I got really, really into doing portraits. It's one of my favorite things, realism and portraits. I could go on for hours and hours about how much I love doing art. It's not so much part of my life anymore, just time wise. It's I don't have a lot of it anymore, but art has always been like a huge, huge, huge part of my life. And whether it's the physical aspects and the art that I put out when I go out and I wrestle, or yeah, just like the visual arts that I do, it's so important to me and I love doing it so much.
Did you have a particular style that you really enjoyed? I know, like, when I was in high school, I did my final in pointillism and did like this giant, like, comic book poster frame of Venom. But did you have a particular style that you preferred?
I was big on acrylic painting and realistic paintings for sure. Um, my favorite artist is Francisco de Goya, and he always does this kind of like twisted, kind of dark realism in some works of his. It's realism, in others they're not so much. But I fell in love with that genre of art, and it definitely shows in everything that I do. It's kind of all my art pieces are similar to that. It's just kind of like a twisted but realistic painting for sure.
How did you feel when you saw that, people were starting to wear that merch?
Yeah, I think it's really, really interesting to see people wearing your shirt. It's almost like unreal. Like it feels like, oh, I've made it. Like there are people here that are here not only to see me, but want to support me in a way that they're showing it on their body, kind of thing. Um, I think it's always really exciting and kind of it throws me off a little bit still. Like it's unreal to me that like I can see people walking by wearing my shirt. It's really cool.
Have you thought about, branching out a little bit more into some other forms of creative expression within the industry? Perhaps designing people's gear or even doing like graphics for a promotion or anything like that. Is that something that you have considered kind of dabbling into as well?
Yeah, actually I've been really needing a new set of gear and I've just dug up my old sewing machine and for some reason because I have this thing in my mind where I can do anything. I would really like to try gear making and hopefully I can, you know, get to a point where I'm good enough that I can just make my own gear and not have to worry about paying other people to do it for me and waiting and all that kind of stuff. So I that's my new adventure.
I was just thinking designing it, but you're even thinking about actually going and making it yourself. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Moving forward, do you have any particular goals for yourself? Whether that be, winning championships, traveling to certain destinations, teaming with Spurt, like what is it that you want wrestling to take you to next?
I would really like to obviously expand my I'm always looking to like learn more. I never think that there's like a point where you just stop. So, I'm always striving to um just find out more, learn more, enhance my move set, and even just like who I am, like figure that out more and be able to show that to the people. I'd really love to have my tag team with Sydney. Hopefully, one day we'll actually have the tag team. It's kind of been teased and then it falls apart, but I really hope for the future that that ends up happening for us.
Oh, okay. In the back of my mind, I'm envisioning a tag team where after a while you just start to get jealous of that belt that she's got around her waist. I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe that's not the best way to view it, but hey, storylines write themselves, I guess. I don't want to put that out there. Sorry.
You're good.
So one thing I ask everybody is for a piece of advice. I know you are relatively new into the industry, but if there was something that somebody could have told you right when you were starting off, just to make the journey that much easier, what would that be, and how might that maybe help somebody else?
I think this is still something that I'm trying to teach myself, but just you need to stop worrying so much. You need to stop overthinking everything. You're supposed to be having fun, and in every aspect that's the baseline. Everything else doesn't really matter as long as you're having fun and you're not hurting anyone. But yeah, I think I worry about stuff way too much, and I think that a lot of people just starting out worry about things way too much, and you just kind of need to take a step back, take a breath, and just have fun.
Awesome, awesome. So before we sign out, can you just let people know who you are and where they can follow you online?
Yeah, I am Violet Overkill, and you can find me on Instagram at Violet_Overkill.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the time.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Independent Wrestling Profiles. Please help out the show if you can with a like, subscription, or review. We'll see you next time.
This program is a proud part of the Swear to Pod Network.